What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your halftime show here live from Tampa Joe's as your Tampa Bay Buccaneers up in front of the Seattle Seahawks 13-7. And for largely a part of this game, the Buccaneers, you would have to say, defensively have done a good job. But that last drive there, Seahawks go down 54 yards to get a touchdown by Jackson Smith-Njigba, 6-yard touchdown by Sam Darnold. Buccaneers defense looked like Vildor there beat on the coverage. Had an opportunity there. Looked like Zion McCollum, if that ball is thrown out there just a little bit better on the outside, could have been picked off for a 100-yard interception. But overall, you have to be pretty happy, pretty satisfied with what the Bucs did in the first half. As we talked about, one of the big things was to get off to a fast start, and they're able to do that with a field goal, 30-yard field goal by Chase McLaughlin. Of course, you don't want to necessarily settle for field goals, but you get points on the board. And then at that point, Bucs get back the ball again after a missed 44-yard field goal by Josh Myers as the Bucs defense stiffens. They get the ball back at another 36-yarder, 6-0 Tampa Bay at that point. And then for some unknown reason, the Seattle Seahawks decide to bring in Jalen Milroe, who has no snaps. You go with some type of quarterback option at that point. Fumble by Kenneth Walker III. Tyke Smith jumps on it. The Bucs are in business. They get a short field. At that point, 24-yard completion by Baker Mayfield to Emeka Egbuka. Then another 17-yarder to Cade Otton. You get a screen pass to Rachaad White, and then White goes in from 7 yards. And at that point, it's 13-0. And once again, Seattle scores right before the half. So overall, I think you have to be, again, pretty satisfied with what the Bucs have done so far, especially with all the injuries at this point. Baker Mayfield leading the way, of course, 14 for 16, 126, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Rachaad White, 6 carries for 21 yards. Baker Mayfield doing what Baker Mayfield always does when it comes to scrambling, 4 carries for 16 yards, leading the way. No surprise here. If you tuned into the evolution of Sports Talk Television, I told you the 2 players that I thought were going to definitely pop off today, and that would be former Washington Husky Cade Otton, 3 catches for 56 yards there. Emeka Egbuka, 2 catches for 33. And then you also had Chris Godwin Jr., 1 catch for 13. Rachaad White, 3 catches for 16. So overall, a pretty good first half so far. Not a slow start, which is what a lot of Bucs fans are used to, which is what Baker Mayfield emphasized this week. Not a slow start by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, Seattle gets the ball in the second half here. Look at some other numbers when it comes down to it. 126 passing yards, as we spoke about. Only 35 rushing yards. So coming in, Seattle very good against the run. They're showing that. On the other hand here, Sam Darnold for the Seattle Seahawks, 7 for 8, 80 yards at this point. So he's done a good job. You like to see more pressure by this Bucs defense, which you haven't gotten a chance to see. I saw Vita Vea a couple times there, but from the edge, Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby, nothing right now when it comes to sacks. And again, Bucs winning the turnover battle with getting that fumble there by Kenneth Walker Jr., which I don't quite understand, again, why you're bringing in a backup quarterback who hasn't taken a lot of snaps in the National Football League. But the Bucs take advantage of that, leading right now at halftime 13-7. We're live at Tampa Joe's 93-16 Anderson Road in Tampa. Got Sun Devil Dave coming on. Come on, Sun Devil Dave. Come on, get in here. You're good?
Great job.
Great job. Thank you very much for wasting my time, and goodbye forever, right?
Absolutely.
All right, your thoughts, because
great
I thought,
first half.
yeah, well, talking
There
that
we
way.
go.
There
Great
we go.
first half as usual.
Yeah, well,
Took care
great
of business.
first half was it was emphasized by Baker Mayfield to get off to a good start there, take about 7 minutes 57 seconds off the clock, so that's going to wear that Seahawk defense down. And even though you settle for a field goal, you put points on the board at the end of the day. And I thought they've been able to Cade Otton as our guy from the Washington Huskers there, showing up there, and you expected, listen, with the wide receiving injuries, you expected eventually Cade Otton. And that was one of the things that I think still the Bucs have to go to in the second half, because Seattle's defense also has their fair share of injuries, with Love and Witherspoon being out. It's showing, and also they're not very good against tight ends. So I think that could be a big-time key in the second half. Keep on going to Cade Otton. What did you see in that first half from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, once again leading at halftime?
Absolutely. I think the biggest question mark or concern I have is that we talked about this red zone. We talked about how they've been struggling in scoring in the red zone. They had to settle 1 for 3, and they did have to settle for those 2 field goals. I think the second half they're going to have to figure out ways to extend plays, mix it up.
Yes.
With White, you got Godwin, you got Cade Otton leading the way. They got to figure out ways to get in the chicken box. That's the bottom line. Get in that chicken box.
And I heard you say that a couple times there.
Old school.
With your former Sun Devil there, White. That's showing out, catching the ball out of the backfield again. 3 catches for 16, running the ball. They haven't really been that successful. So that'd be my second key to the second half here. Continue to try to run the ball here, because 10 times you're throwing the ball 16 times. Not a bad pass to run differential, but definitely you want to run the ball more. It opens up things, especially down the field. And I still claim that not only Cade Otton's going to have a big game, which he already has, but Chris Godwin Jr. will have a big game, as always.
Looks great. Time of possession, we're looking good. 18-11, basically. Only 1 penalty for 12 yards. And then they got my favorite number, 0 turnovers. My favorite number, 0, well, that goose egg.
You win that turnover battle, and Tyke Smith jumps on it. And again, I don't understand why you're bringing in Jalen Milroe. I think you get a little bit cute at that point, because he hasn't had a lot of snaps. The snap is high to Kenneth Walker, the third there, so he's not able to corral it. Tyke Smith is right on it. He jumps on it, and what happens? The Bucs score off of that turnover, so that's huge, and it gives that Bucs, that Bucs offense that momentum that they need. So let's continue to read comments. We'll get out of here, get you back to your second half here live at Tampa Joe's. It should be 20-0 at halftime. Zion Stohands McCollum drops a pick 6. It looked like he had that. I mean, and we've seen that before from McCollum. We've seen that before from Bucs defenders, to where you have an opportunity to make that play, and you have to make that play. It's a tough play, and you love the pass breakup. But if you're able to make that play, then you take points off the board. We've seen that a couple times this year on the road, and the Bucs are not able to capitalize on it. It's a good point there, Kenneth. Up to kickoff return by Seattle. That has been the best Tampa Bay has looked in the first half. I agree with you, and I tell you the one thing that I looked at when the Bucs were deep in their own end, they were able to get the punt off, and a pretty good punt by Riley Dixon there. I know we're talking about punting, but that was, again, the key. Special teams has been a key for this team. It's hurt them. It didn't hurt them on the punt. Need to finish drives. Agree with that. Misador. Threes aren't good enough in the NFL as they're in the NBA. Misador again. Huskies, yes, the Washington Huskies. We really need to pick up our pass rush, or maybe even blitz. James Flash Ludeman, Bulls calling a boring game again. No blitz at all, especially on that last drive. You're kind of playing back a couple times there. I saw playing zone. not able to get enough pressure. You got to get pressure somehow. You got to be able to generate it. It's the thing that's going to drive a lot of Bucs fans crazy is getting that pressure, because you cannot allow a quarterback, no matter who it is, to sit back there for more than 3 seconds and pick you apart. And that's exactly what they did on that last drive there.
We talked about Cooper Kupp's got 4 for 41, and then JSN.
I told you,
4
he's
for
a
35.
killer. Cooper Kupp is a Bucs killer. He's been always a Bucs killer
gotta
ever since he's
contain
with
him.
the Rams. So it bears to be watching. Stop the prevent defense. It doesn't work. It prevents you from winning. I get that. Still say we need to trade for Braden first, because Braden Fisk, you can't double team Vita and have him both on every play. They're not going to trade Braden as much as I know you want to trade for Braden Fisk because he's a talented player. Rams know how talented he is for the Rams. They're not going to trade you in conference. I don't see that happening at all. And Godwin needs to step up. Tired of people excusing him. Your high play player step up. Well, he's also coming off an injury. He did have a drop pass there, had a couple of drop passes last week. Still getting back into the swing of things. I think we need to relax on that, coming back to that horrific injury at the end of the day. What's your big key for this game for the Bucs to continue to start win this game? Yes.
Real quick, how many long passes over 20 yards has he had? Has he had any today?
Hasn't had a lot. Has not had
the deep threat, and I think that containing that deep threat is a big key.
And his yards for the game here: 13 for 17, 130, 1 touchdown. Again, Cooper Kupp 4 catches for 41.
Right.
Jackson Smith and the Jigba 4 for 35. They also had Arroyo, the rookie tight end from Miami. He had 1 catch for 10 yards.
Big key is going to be just when you get in the red zone, we got to get 7, and basically we got to get the run game going. We need at least 100 yards today, minimum 100, 120 yards of the run game. Stop the run the ball.
That's it.
Bottom line. So
that's what it comes down to.
Get White involved, get the Tucker involved more, and figure out ways to extend the run. Maybe do some screens. Get them out of the backfield. Get White more involved, and I think they're going to be fine.
All right, for the great Sun Devil Dave, I'm your host Peter Blake. Back to the second half of your game as we're live here. Definitely tune in to the evolution of Sports Talk Television in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show after the game for all your post-game comments, reactions, and phone calls here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television live from Tampa Joe's 9316 Anderson Road in Tampa. Your Rolex reporter Peter Blake saying, go Bucs, and enjoy the second half of your game.